Chris answered. In conversing with Chris, David said he was told Chris went to work, and Shanann was missing after that. According to David, Chris told him Shanann left her personal items, including keys, at the residence. David said the phone conversation occurred at approximately 9 p.m. 9 p.m., Luke Eppel, work friend, texted Chris to see how things were. Luke said Chris called him back immediately and said his wife and daughters were still gone and the police searched his house and vehicles with a warrant. 9:12 p.m., a line at the Frederick Police Department called Chris and held a 6-minute conversation. Officer M. James said. On the 13th of August, 2018 at approximately 9:12 p.m. I called Chris to see if he had heard anything. He advised he had not provided with me the phone number to a few of her friends. They included the following: Addie Maloney, Samantha Paisley, Christina Meacham, Jeremy Lindstrom, Cindy DeRosette. 9:14 p.m., Kelly Burke texted Chris saying, "How are you doing?" Chris said, "Hanging in there. Staying busy." Kelly replied, "I can't sleep." Chris said, "I don't think I will be able to either." Kelly replied, "I'm praying really hard, Chris." Chris said, "Me too." 9:30 p.m., David Colin walked over to the Watts residence to speak further with Chris. He thought he arrived at approximately 9:30 p.m. David said Chris was the only person present, and that Chris was keeping himself busy by doing housework. David said the carpet was freshly vacuumed. He said he was at the Watts house about an hour. He said Chris told him they were struggling in their marriage. She went to North Carolina for 5 weeks, they did like a trial separation, Chris said, to see how they did apart. She got back, they talked and tried to work things out, but they had a disagreement or argument that morning. David said Chris got a phone call. He said he thinks it was Chris's mom. David said Jeremy Lindstrom arrived a short time later. 9:32 p.m., Addie Maloney texted Chris saying, "How are you holding up?" Chris said, "Hanging in there. Some of my friends stopped by to keep me company." Addie replied, "What about Cece's medicine? I'm worried about her." 9:33 p.m., Nick and Amanda Thayer texted Chris and told him they had stopped at McDonald's and the gas station at I-25 and Highway 52, to see if anyone saw anything. 9:43 p.m., Chris replied to Nick and Amanda Thayer saying, "Thanks, man." 9:48 p.m., Chris called Kessinger and held a 50-minute conversation. Her phone registered in Thornton. Monday, August 13, 2018, by call and texts throughout the afternoon. Nicole Kessinger said, "When I called Chris, he informed me that the cops were at his house and that he would need to call me back. I was unaware that his wife had missed a doctor's appointment, or that his kids missed school that day, or that a friend had tried to contact her and couldn't, or that he had tried to call her and didn't get a response, or that her friend had stopped by the house hours earlier to check on her. I asked him why the cops were there. Chris informed me that Shanann's friend Nicole had called them. Chris says that the media are arriving. I was confused and asked him why they were there. Chris tells me that Nicole called the media. I asked Chris why he believed Nicole would call the cops and the media. He said Nicole wasn't being very nice to him. Informed me that she was sitting in her car on the phone with Shanann's mom. I asked how Nicole knew Shanann's mom. Chris informed me that Nicole used to work with Shanann's mom. I asked if he thought maybe Nicole was the friend that was helping Shanann to get away for a day. Chris said no, why would Nicole be helping Shanann if she is the one who called the cops? I suggested maybe it was to throw them off the trail. He did not agree. Chris asked me if he should talk to the media. I initially told him no, and then suggested that if he decided to speak to them that maybe he could ask Shanann to bring his kids back. I was uncomfortable with him asking for my advice on the media, so I then asked him what his friends thought he should do about the media. Chris says that his friends believe that it would look bad if he didn't speak to the news and thought that he should make a statement. I suggested the bank account idea again after he told me that he thought Shanann was gone for the night at a friend's house. Asked him if any money was missing from their bank account. Chris said no. 9:51 p.m., Officer James, Frederick Police Department called Jeremy Lindstrom, who is at Watt's house when he calls. Jeremy was just leaving. Both Jeremy and David Colin left Watt's house. Jeremy said that he and Colin were at Chris's for about 15 to 20 minutes. So were they there when Chris rang Kessinger, or did he ring her the moment they were out the door? 9:58 p.m. Officer James, Frederick Police Department called Cindy DeRosset. Cindy asks, why was the bed stripped? Where are the sheets at? The sheets in the trash were not found till Tuesday and the sheet at Survey on Wednesday.
I wish that there was something. I mean, it just none of this, like, we've all been going back and forth. We know a lot of details that we're not letting other people know, but none of this is right, and none of this feels right. I'm telling you this, if it wasn't Chris, then who was it? You know, no, this doesn't make any sense. She doesn't have any way to go. If she just started to wander off, you know, like maybe she was so distraught, you know. I mean, we're trying to make sense of everything. Why was the bed stripped? You know, okay, where are the sheets at?
(10 p.m., Chris said he laid down and took calls from friends and family the rest of the night. At 10 o'clock it's pretty much when I laid down. But I didn't go to bed until about like 2 a.m. just cause I was fielding texts and calls all night. 10 p.m., under 0.1 miles. Around 60 steps recorded on Chris's personal phone. 11 p.m., over 0.4 miles. Around 410 steps recorded on Chris's personal phone. He's obviously not laying down as he is walking around and having steps recorded. Kessinger said she didn't speak to Chris until her company left. Is that company Danielle Haydel or Jim Gutowski? Danielle stayed with her for the weekend. 11:09 p.m., Kessinger called Chris and held a 51-minute conversation. 11:09 p.m. to 12:01 a.m. Chris told Kessinger he thought Shanann would be back tomorrow. Her phone registered in Thornton. He said he was going to go to work and Kessinger told him no, you need to stay home and help the cops. Chris said, what if she comes back and sees my truck? Kessinger said, I would tell one of your friends to come over to the house and hang out with you, and go park your truck down the street so she doesn't see it if she comes back, and turn on your phone video and put it in your pocket, and it will record what's happening and nothing bad happens to you. Shanann had asked Chris to wake her up before he left for work. He woke her up and they got into a disagreement. Chris said Shanann was being pretty mean, told him she was pregnant and the kid is not his. Kessinger said, do you believe her? He said yeah, she was kinda showing in North Carolina. He said he thought she said it out of spite. Chris told Kessinger Shanann left her wedding ring. He asked her, how much do you think it's worth? Kessinger said, I don't know, pawn it man. I pawn jewelry all the time but you don't get much. He said, I think I'm gonna have it appraised. It's a nice rock. He also said that he wanted the separation and Kessinger was like, wait a minute, I thought you was the one trying to sort it out and she wanted the separation. Kessinger said, I asked Chris if the cops had attempted to search his friends' houses since he believed that Shanann had gone to stay with a friend. He told me no they hadn't. I asked him why not and he told me he didn't know why they hadn't. I asked him why Nicole did not like him. He said he wasn't sure. I asked if Nicole was married and how well he knew Nicole and her husband. He informed me that he didn't know her husband hardly at all. I again suggested that maybe Nicole was the one who may be helping Shanann to hide out from him for a while. Chris said maybe, but he didn't really seem like he was entertaining the idea. I asked him if he thought she was with another man. Chris said possible, but he didn't think so. I asked if he thought his family was in danger. He said that if my kids are with her then they are safe. Chris never said he was worried or concerned about his family unless I prompted the question. Looking back on everything, I am so glad that Nicole showed up that day to check on her friend. Kessinger also questioned Chris as to why he had not come into the Andarco office location on Monday. She said although Chris usually comes to the office location in the mornings, there had been times when he reported directly to the field. Kessinger said it was ironic his wife was missing and he did not come to the office that day, so she questioned him. She recalled Chris telling her on Sunday, August 12, that he was not going to come to the office and was going to a pump site. She recalled during this phone conversation on August 12 that a television was playing in the background, and she thought it was strange Chris was watching television very late at night. She believed Chris was waiting up for Shanann to arrive home from Arizona that evening, that is why the television was on. Chris told her during this call that he had to go to the field to check on a release. Kessinger explained a release was a small oil leak at a well or pump site. Kessinger was suspicious as to why Chris would be checking on a release as he was not part of the environmental team. She explained usually if a release is reported, a team of environmental specialists respond to deal with the release. Chris occasionally deals with a release and may be responsible for closing valves and or shutting off tanks to stop the release. Chris told Kessinger he was going to check out equipment and do a lockout tagout on the site if there was a release. She said Chris is tasked with doing lockout tagouts and there would be a record or some type of paperwork for this type of activity. Kessinger questioned Chris about going to the job site on Monday, August 13, in the morning and told him to prove he had been to the site. Chris responded with text messages between him and other Anadarko employees to prove he was at the site. Chris also sent her a picture of a release. She said Chris told her that Luke Eppel, Chris' supervisor, had requested Chris or Troy, unknown last name, to respond to the release. Chris told Troy he would take care of the release according to Kessinger. Kessinger said, Chris says his home camera shows him leaving for work at 5:15 like usual that morning. He tells me that his home alarm system notified him that at 9:10 his garage door opened, but that he never received a notification on his phone that it closed again. I asked him if his garage was open when he got home from work that day and he told me no. I asked Chris if he thought that Shanann left out the garage at 9:10 that morning. He suggested that she either left out the garage door or the back door because there is no footage of her leaving from his front door camera. I asked Chris if there was any sign of forced entry and he told me no. He told me he didn't want to keep talking about that subject and asked me to talk about something else. Kessinger said she ended the phone conversation with Chris and he later FaceTimed her that evening. She said on the video call Chris was wearing a black wife beater t-shirt and he was laying on a mattress with no sheets on it. She did not know what bed Chris was on but said it did not look like his makeshift basement bedroom. She said the mattress Chris was laying on could have been blue in color. She asked him where are your sheets and he said oh I washed them. He said he was cleaning the house to try and take his mind off things. He said I had to wash the kids' sheets, they smelled. Kessinger also said even when Shanann was at home it didn't stop her and Chris conversing and seeing each other. In interview Chris said he washed everything, all the sheets Shanann had stripped and left on the floor in the bedroom and put different sheets from the closet onto the bed. Chris described this had occurred after the police searched his home Monday. He said he washed the sheets and put them in a pile in the room. Chris also said to the police that his dad had called like 10 times this day. Josh Rosenberg said he last talked to Chris by phone on the 13th of August, 2018. Chris called Josh and told him that he did not know what to do about Shanann and the kids being missing. He told Josh he was lost. Josh encouraged that all anyone could do was make calls and try to figure out what happened. Chris said he felt uneasy. Josh told Chris, "You know how this looks," alluding to the belief that something had gone wrong involving them. Chris acknowledged that and told Josh that he did not know what to do. He said he felt like everyone was mad at him and he did not know who to call. Chris said he did not know how anyone could think he could do it. Josh told Chris that he needed to do everything he could. This phone call from Chris felt different to Josh than a call from the Chris he knew. Josh felt it was like Chris was looking for information, which was not like him. It did not feel like Chris, and did not seem like Chris wanted Josh to do anything for him, but more like Chris was trying to find out how Cassie and the friends of Shanann felt. Chris did not seem genuine to Josh. "I don't know when Melissa Parrish and Chad McNeil left work, but later in the day, Melissa Parrish went back to Survey 319 to evaluate the equipment. Tuesday, August 14, 2018. 12:01 a.m., Chris texted Addie Maloney saying, "All the meds are still here." Addie replied, "Oh Chris. This is so scary. Cece needs that medication, doesn't she, every day?" Chris said, "She takes it every day. Once a day. We have containers full of it downstairs." 12:02 a.m., Kessinger searched Google for Shanann Watts. 12:08 a.m., Chris called Kessinger and held a 31-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton. 1:12 a.m., Kessinger called Chris and held a 3-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton. Kessinger said she called him and told him she couldn't sleep and she was scared. "Monday night I called him in the middle of the night and he sounded like he'd been asleep. I said, 'How the hell can you sleep now?' and Chris said he was dozing off and on the couch." Instantly as that call ended at 1:51 a.m., Chris called Kessinger back and held a 8-minute conversation. She still registers in Thornton. He is still on the phone with Kessinger when at 1:58 a.m., Frederick Police called and Chris played phone tag with a line at the Frederick Police Department.
That's him. Okay, let me just come on. This is Officer Goodman. Is this Christopher? Yep. Hung up on me again. Hello, Christopher? Christopher. Yeah. It's Officer Good. Yeah. Just gonna keep it recording so in case he calls back and I get him. Hello, Christopher. This is Officer Goodman, Frederick Police Department. Are you there? Hello? That's the number you called and it went right through last time you had contact with him? 910-309-1702. That's what's coming in. They don't have a house phone?
His call to Kessinger ended at 1:59 a.m. 2:05 a.m., Officer Goodman said at approximately 2:05 a.m., "I received a call from Christopher from a different telephone number. Christopher told me something had been wrong with his telephone and he had now been calling me from his work telephone."
Yeah, it's a different number now. This is Officer Goodman, Frederick Police Department.
Hey, this is Chris Watts. I was trying to call you back from my personal phone. Kept saying call failed, but I just used my work phone.
Oh, this is your work phone? Okay.
2:06 a.m., Chris made an unanswered call to Kessinger. He's doing this while on the phone to Officer Goodman. 2:07 a.m., Kessinger called Chris back and held a 11-minute conversation. Chris is still on the phone to Officer Goodman at the beginning of her call. Was she listening in on the call? 4:29 a.m., Shanann's iPad logs on home router. 4:38 a.m., Officer Goodman said at approximately 4:38 a.m., I was contacted directly at the police department by Shanann's mother, Sandra Rusek. Sandra was upset and told me that she and her husband believe that her daughter and granddaughter's disappearance involved foul play, and that she honestly believes that her son-in-law was involved in the disappearance of her daughter and granddaughters. She stated that Christopher is acting weird and out of the ordinary. She said that Christopher is telling people he has to go to work, and that just doesn't seem right. She felt that he is going out to pour oil on the bodies to dispose of them somewhere. Sandra said that she felt when Shanann had come home late from her trip and had been exhausted and that she and Christopher had argued, but due to Shanann's lupus she would not have been able to put up a fight. Sandra also told me that she had bought Shanann an Apple iWatch, and the ID was her plan number. She said she had purchased it under her T-Mobile plan, but that Shanann had transferred it to her own AT&T account. She identified the iWatch as being a 38mm Silhouette, white in color. 4:58 a.m., Sandra, Shanann's mom, called Chris and held a 4-minute conversation. Straight after this call, Sandra called the Frederick Police Department again. Officer Goodman said. Sandra Rusek then called me back and told me that she and her husband, Frank, had just spoken to Christopher and that he is not shedding a tear about his missing family. She did tell me that she told him if he was involved, he would see her become irate. Sandra finally told me that Christopher had called a neighbor and told them that he feels we are watching him about his involvement in this. I explained to Sandra that she should not threaten Christopher, or say too much in regards to the direction of this investigation, as we do not know exactly what the circumstances are involving the whereabouts of Shanann and her granddaughters. 5 a.m., Chris's work phone logs on home router. 6:14 a.m., Addie Maloney texted Chris saying, Chris, I think people need to be out searching. Have the police mentioned search parties? Chris said, no search parties. They told me not to just go out driving because I wouldn't know what to look for. Addie replied, we need to start looking. Are you still thinking there is a chance that she is with the mystery friend? And do the police have the neighbor security footage? Chris said, there's still a chance in my mind she's with someone I don't know of. I really hope that's the case. The police have seen all the footage from the cameras. Luke Epple in interview said he spoke with Chris this morning. At 6:31 a.m. Luke sent out a group meet message that Chris would not be at work that day. 6:32 a.m., Sandra Rusek, Shanann's mom, called Chris and held a 6-minute conversation. 6:50 a.m., Kessinger called Barbara Kivett, her mom, and held a 1-minute conversation. Her phone registered in Platteville. Work area. 7 a.m., on the 14th of August, 18 at approximately 7 a.m., Detective Baumhofer learned neither Shanann nor the girls had returned to the residence. Detective Baumhofer requested an immediate press release be issued and initiated assistance from CBI and ultimately the FBI. Kessinger said Tuesday by text, Chris said he called David Colon, and asked him to sit outside his house, and his friend Nick is coming over this afternoon. 7:26 a.m., Chris texts Samantha Paisley saying, I'm hoping she's with someone I don't know about, because I've exhausted all the people I know of. I'm optimistic we will reunite again. People have been stopping by from time to time. 7:30 a.m., Melissa Parrish and Chad McNeil returned to Survey 319 at approximately 7:30 a.m. or 8 a.m. in order to check on the equipment. 7:35 a.m., Chris's personal phone logs on home router. 7:59 a.m., Josh Rosenberg texted Chris saying, any word? How are you doing? Chris said, no word at all, man. I know the cops were getting the missing person report ready. I'm at home, sick to my stomach. Josh replied, no luck on calls to hospitals or hotels and things. Let me know if you need any help. 8 a.m., Chris said. Hospitals had nothing. Every hotel I could think of, man. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. 8 a.m., Anthony Brown, workmate, said the first time he heard anything happening to Chris's family was on Tuesday, August 14, 2018. Anthony said he saw on the group email at work that Chris was not coming to work today. He said he initially didn't think anything about it. He said he and Troy McCoy went to a location to turn on the well when Troy said something to him about Chris's family had gone missing. Anthony thought this was at about 8 a.m. and they were at the Roland on 28-4 location. Anthony said Troy told him that Chris was getting ready to do an interview on the television about his family missing. Anthony said he immediately reactivated his Facebook account. He had previously deactivated his account because it was a waste of his time and started posting the stories he could find about the Watts family and asking everyone he knew to be on the lookout for them. He and Troy talked about the situation and Troy told him that Chris had been having issues with Shanann and Chris had been sleeping on the couch recently. Anthony said he was not aware of any issues Chris was having in his marriage. Anthony said Troy told him that Chris said Shanann had taken off her wedding ring and left it on the counter before she disappeared. He said he and Troy speculated that Shanann had left Chris and she took the two girls with her. Anthony said they even speculated that Shanann had met someone while she was on one of her business trips for Thrive. He said Troy also told him that Chris said Shanann didn't take any clothes or any medicine for the girls. 8:19 a.m., Kelly Burke texted Chris saying, "Hi, what's being done today?" Chris said, "The missing persons report should be filed now." Kelly replied, "What do the police do next?" Chris said, "Just put the reports out there and hope we get a hit. Praying so hard." Kelly replied, "Me too, Chris." 8:27 a.m., Addie Maloney texted Chris saying, "I'm praying so hard. Did they see anyone come get them? What about an Amber Alert for the kids?" Chris said, "They didn't see anyone at all. They think the kids are with her, so I think it will be a missing persons report for all." Addie replied, "Where else would the kids be if not with her?" 8:29 a.m., Chris's personal phone logs on home router again. Chris said, "I'm not sure. I'm hoping they are all together safe." Nick Thayer texted and asked Chris if he was going to work and Chris said he didn't have much sleep so was going to stay at home. 8:30 a.m., Nick Thayer texted Chris to ask if he'd heard anything from the police. Chris responded, "Nothing yet." The two text back and forth briefly. Cody Roberts learned that Shanann and the girls were missing from a Facebook post. He called Troy McCoy to confirm what he had read. Cody said he texted Chris saying, "Hey man, I heard about your family. I pray they're found safe and get back to you. If you need anything, call me, text me." Chris didn't respond. 8:44 a.m., Kessinger called an unknown person in Greeley, Colorado and held a 2-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Platteville still. 9:30 a.m., on the morning of August 14th, at approximately 9:30 a.m. Corporal DeWitt was contacted by Sergeant Bedsall with the Frederick Police Department via telephone. Bedsall requested that I conduct a search with our small unmanned aerial system of the area west of 2825 Saratoga Trail. 9:15 a.m., on August 14th, 2018 at approximately 9:15 a.m., Officer Doll was asked to respond to 2905 Saratoga Trail and obtain video footage from Nathan Trinastick, Watts' his neighbor. Detective Baumhover gave 3 times to check, 1:45 a.m., 5:30 a.m. and 12:47 p.m. on August 13th. 9:29 a.m., Chris transferred one last image into his secret calculator application, a semi-nude selfie of Kessinger. 9:45 a.m., on August 14th, 2018 at approximately 9:45 a.m., CSO Simmons was asked to drive an unmarked police car to the area of 2825 Saratoga Trail Frederick, and observe the above residence for suspicious activity. 9:48 a.m., Addie Maloney texted Chris saying, "We are all praying so hard that is the case. All the local hospitals have been called. Are you home by yourself?" Chris said, "All the hospitals. My friends Nick and Amanda are en route here." Addie replied, "Are you doing okay?" Chris said. The best I can be. Trying to remember to eat. 10 a.m., Community Service Officer Simmons said. I arrived on scene at approximately 10 a.m. and parked a few houses away in the 6300 block of Steeple Rock Drive. I kept notes of license plates passing in the area in the event they would be relevant on a notepad. The piece of paper has been entered into the case file. 10 a.m., Simmons wrote. White van leaving residence texted to Detective Baumhover. 10:21 a.m., Simmons wrote. Male and female go into residence. Nick and Amanda Thayer drove to Chris's house. On the way there, the news media started contacting them. When they arrived at Chris's house, they found Chris to be tired, not himself, and overwhelmed. The three sat at the kitchen table. They talked about the possibility of Nick and Amanda talking to the media about the media talking to Chris. 10:45 a.m., Simmons wrote. Husband moved truck to east out of sight. 10:45 a.m., Chris moves his truck down the street out of sight. He parks it outside 6201, Saratoga Trail. 10:47 a.m., Troy texted Chris saying, Hey, sorry to bother you, but just wanted to make sure you were hanging in there, man. I hope you will have answers soon. Just want to let you know we are thinking of you and praying for you and your family. Like I have said before, if there is ever anything I can do, just let me know. 11:10 a.m., Shanann's friend Kindle posted this news report to Facebook. This was shown on TV at 11:09 a.m. This shows that it was said that Shanann was pregnant.
Their ages 3 and 4 years old. Shannon is also 15 weeks pregnant. They're asking for help finding them. If you have any idea where they might be, call the Frederick Police. Still to come, a family says they were
11:15 a.m., Luke Epple sent out a group message to Anadarko employees. Everyone meet me at the Aquaterra State 1836 at 11:15 p.m. for some training. Bring your Mod 1 books if you have them. Troy McCoy, Melissa Parrish, and Anthony Brown was there.
Okay, they ordered an air compressor. Everyone meet me at the Aquaterra State 1836 at 11:15 p.m. for some training. Bring your Mod 1 books if you have them.
11:25 a.m., Chris's personal phone logs on home router. 11:26 a.m., Nicole Atkinson leaves home to proceed to the Watts house. 11:26 a.m. to 11:38 a.m. 6-mile drive, took 12 minutes. 57 miles per hour speed. Life 360. 11:27 a.m., Addie Maloney texted Chris saying, Hey, did you mean to call me? Simmons said. White 4-door car, brunette with little girl. News interview. 11:38 a.m., Nicole Atkinson arrives at the Watts house and stays there for 47 minutes. Near 6323, Steeple Rock Drive, Frederick, 11:38 a.m. to 12:26 p.m. Life 360. Nicole Atkinson does a media plea.
Well, police really don't have a lot of information right now. We do know that this neighborhood where Shanann Watts and her 2 little girls live is the last place that anyone saw the 3 missing people. Watts' friend says she did a wellness check with police yesterday, and as they were making their way around the home, they found Watts' purse, keys, car, and phone all in their rightful places inside the home. And that really has Watts' friend worried, because she said her friend would never go anywhere without her phone. Frederick neighborhoods, quiet, safe places, they say.
Number 2 or number 3 safest place in Colorado.
One house sits too quiet, though, and cries for answers couldn't be louder.
I'm just concerned, and Shanann, if you're hearing this or you're out there, please let somebody know you're okay.
Shanann Watts and her 2 girls, 3 and 4 years old, are all missing. Watts is 15 weeks pregnant.
It's not something you think's gonna happen in your backyard. Or your closest friend?
Watts' close friend called the police on Monday. She dropped Watts at home early Monday morning, about 2 a.m. after they landed from a work trip. She saw her walk inside, and that's the last time she heard from her friend. They were supposed to meet up later in the day.
I called her and texted her several times, and then when she didn't answer because I knew she had a doctor's appointment that morning, she didn't show up for it. I'm just worried sick. I don't know where she's at. This is completely unlike her.
Completely unlike her, out of character. That's why police are worried. That's why the street is lined with cars. Police say most of their department is part of the search for Watts and her 2 kids. A canine on the hunt for clues too. Search the house to pick up scents.
My heart's racing a mile a minute.
It's a scene Watts' husband can't wrap his head around.
It's not something I could ever fathom would happen in my lifetime, and I have no inclination of where she is. She said she was going to a friend's house with the kids, and that's the last thing I heard, and that was it. It was very vague.
Watts' husband, the last person to see his wife and their 2 kids, now stands outside his empty home, hoping his 3 girls and their mom will pop up.
In my heart, I believe that she is somewhere, and I hope that she is safe.
As Watts' friend was doing that wellness check with police yesterday, she tells me that it didn't look like anybody forced their way into the home. In Frederick, Zora Stevenson, Fox 31.
Police are at Nate's house watching security video.
Oh, not much. Hey, so I was talking to the detectives, and he said he just wanted everything between that time frame on the video.
Is there any way we could do this in like 15 minutes?
Yeah. Well, I just needed to tell you that he just wants that clip when you guys get it. And what's your first name again?
Nathan.
Nathan. What's your last name?
TRINASTICH.
TICH.
As soon as these pictures are gone, we'll take care of it. We just got a phone call from my mother-in-law. Someone stole their truck last night from Westminster.
Oh, geez.
And they found it in Boulder, so she has to go down and get it.
Oh,
She
gotcha.
needs a ride.
Yeah, no
Now
problem.
My wife's gonna have to leave and go deal with that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's no problem. No, I just wanted to tell you just from that the time that it got dropped off until the officer.
2 o'clock to.
Yeah, from when the officer came over and talked to you last night.
Well, I'll call my wife's gonna have to call Comcast because it's in her name and they won't talk to me, obviously.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we got the whole chunk.
As soon as she takes her mom goes and gets her mom, she'll come back and we'll make the phone call and we'll get it all for you.
Perfect. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, have a good one.
11:45 a.m., Officer Kate Lyons said. On Tuesday, August 14, 2018 at approximately 11:45 a.m., in the state of Colorado, county of Weld, town of Frederick, Officer Kate Lyons responded to the police department and met with a search and rescue team and their canines for search efforts regarding the disappearance of Shanann Watts and her 2 children. After being briefed on the situation, along with Officer Perez, Deputy Tkach, Boulder County Sheriff James Majewski, and Jeff Hebert, search and rescue dogs of the United States, SARDOs, responded to the home of the missing individuals. 11:46 a.m., Chris replied to Troy McCoy saying, "This has turned into a nightmare." 12:03 p.m., Troy replied, "I am truly sorry, man." 12:08 p.m., Kessinger spent nearly 4 hours searching Google and the internet for Watts, news outlets, and news accounts of Shanann's disappearance. She said, "I left work after finding out Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant, in lunch break." She said she left work as she felt sick as her friend Jim had been sick when visiting her. "I also told Jim he could come over earlier than he did the day before." She is searching the internet for 4 hours while being at work. That's a very long lunch break. 12:17 p.m., CSO Scarlett said. At approximately 12:17 p.m., I coded into Weld County Dispatch on scene. I met with CSO Simmons, who explained that I was relieving her and to sit in the unmarked silver Caprice, facing south on the west side of Steeple Rock Drive. Approximately 100 yards north of 2825 Saratoga Trail. Officer Simmons explained that I was to keep a log and document unusual activity. Bushnell binoculars power 10 by 25 were used to assist in viewing the house from my position. CSO Simmons said. At approximately 12:20 p.m., CSO Scarlett relieved me of my duties, and after a short bathroom break I joined Sergeant Albert in canvassing the neighborhood, handing out flyers along Steeple Rock Drive and Ruby Hill Drive. I documented which houses did not have an answer and a flyer was only posted on the door. I later provided this list to Officer Manley. 12:26 p.m., Nicole Atkinson leaves the Watts house and proceeds to near 5968 Firestone Boulevard, Firestone. 12:26 p.m. to 12:53 p.m. 9-mile drive, took 26 minutes. 58 miles per hour speed. Life 360. 12:28 p.m., CSO Scarlett said. White car parked out front of 2825 Steeple Rock Drive facing east, unknown license plate, left northbound Steeple Rock Drive. This was Nicole Atkinson leaving. 12:30 p.m., Scarlett said. Black truck 153 LHW stopped southbound Steeple Rock at Saratoga Trail, then activated right blinker, made right turn. 12:31 p.m., Chris began to tell others that he was doing interviews with the news media. 12:33 p.m., Scarlett said. Same truck above 153 LHW came back around, stopped to pet dog to white occupants, one appeared to be a male driver, female passenger. Stop at stop sign made left on Saratoga Trail. 12:34 p.m., Scarlett said. Appears to be more news crew one and a blue shirt guy, female carrying camera in purple shirt, tan hat, appeared talking with Officer Perez. 12:37 p.m., Scarlett said. Vehicle 179 PFU southbound Steeple Rock west on Saratoga. The dog search is still underway inside the home.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What in the world was that? Wow. Go in there and step on that little blue thing and see if that's where that noise came.
Yeah, it sounded like a kid toy.
It sort of sounds like it.
Something. I heard it.
That one, did you hear it?
I did.
Sounded like a kid giggling or something, didn't it? Or a kid.
It did.
12:39 p.m., Scarlett said. Observe white four-door SUV-type vehicle return to 2825 Steeple Rock Drive. Did not see occupants get out. Nick and Amanda Thayer arrived back after nipping out for food and drink.
Celeste, CC, she was just like she was in the water. And they both were soaking wet.
You said you can't really remember which nightgown they were wearing that night?
Not that so many. It's so many.
Yeah, especially that age, they like to get them dirty really, really fast.
They got the dogs in there, so you can go in. You can go in, but like.
12:48 p.m., Scarlett said. K9 unit exit home.
It's hard to tell where that scent's actually coming from.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll get him out.
Hey, can you send one of the canines down to the basement, please?
Let me get him out of here.
Yep, she's going to take her dog out, and we need to have one of them come in, and I'm going to stay in the basement and wait for them. So she's coming out right now.
Jillian Ganley, CBI Denver said. According to Detective Baumhover, the dogs had just hit on an area near the basement stairs a few minutes before I had called. He stated that an additional dog was on its way to confirm the hit. After learning all of the facts, I relayed to him that I thought an endangered missing alert may be appropriate, but that I needed to confer with the supervisor. He then informed me that the Frederick Police Department was running out of resources and he wondered if we could provide any investigative assistance as well. I informed him that we would be happy to send a couple of agents to the scene to assist. I informed him I would check with my supervisor regarding the potential alert and would get back to him. I also told him that in the meantime, agents would respond to assist. He thanked me for reaching out and agreed to talk soon. I went to relay the situation to Assistant Director Volts and ask for his help rounding up several agents to send to Frederick. He agreed with my plan and left to touch base with Detective Baumhover and to assign agents to the case. I then ran the whole situation past my supervisor, Audrey Simpkins. I stated that my preference regarding the alert would be to wait until they completed the second sweep of the house with the dogs. If they confirmed the hit, I would prefer not to issue given that the hit would indicate one or more members of the family was no longer alive and was not actively missing and in danger. If the hit could not be confirmed, we would issue the alert. Supervisory Analyst Simpkins agreed with this plan, as did Assistant Director Volts. Next, I contacted Agent in Charge Kirby Lewis to inform him of the situation, just to keep him apprised. He also agreed with the plan and stated that he would do all he could to help. I informed Detective Baumhover of this plan and of that fact that several agents were en route to assist. I then prepared the endangered missing bulletin, just in case, and proceeded with normal business. 12:50 p.m., Scarlett said. A different canine unit enters home. 12:51 p.m., Scarlett said. News crew departed. 12:53 p.m., Nicole Atkinson arrives at area near 5968, Firestone Boulevard, Firestone. A McDonald's, an attire center is in this area and stays for 31 minutes. 12:53 p.m. to 1:24 p.m. Life 360. 12:53 p.m., Kessinger called Barbara Kivett, her mom, and held a 2-minute conversation. Her call registered in Henderson, she's on her way home. 12:53 p.m., Scarlett said. Same news crew returned. 12:56 p.m., Chris texted Addie Maloney saying, I will call you back. Talking with the news crews. They bombarded me all at once. I want to get everything out there. Addie replied. Oh Chris, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do, Chris? Chris said. Not right now. Dogs swept the house for scents. Addie replied. About time. 1 p.m., training for Anadarko employees ended. 1:01 p.m., Scarlett said. Canine and officer lines exit home. 1:24 p.m., Nicole Atkinson leaves area near 5968, Firestone Boulevard. And drives and then comes back to near 5968, Firestone Boulevard, Firestone. Trip took 7 minutes. 1:24 p.m. to 1:31 p.m., Life 360. 1:31 p.m., Nicole arrives at 5968, Firestone Boulevard, Firestone, and stays for 1 hour, 1:31 p.m. to 2:32 p.m. Life 360. 1:36 p.m., Chris told Samantha Paisley an Amber Alert is not applicable to the facts as they are known presently. He added, they just swept the house with dogs to pick up a scent. Chris said he has completed all his interviews with the news outlets. Part 16, coming soon.